Welcome back to the Queer Stoic Podcast, where a trans man and aspiring Stoic tries to unravel the cosmos and ignite the insanity with a touch of insanity thrown in. This week we are diving into temperance, the second virtue of Stoicism. Temperance in this context is more like moderation, so these two words will be used synonymously for the episode. Keep in mind they are the same thing in regards to Stoicism to the salon. Wait, wrong phrase. Oh, here it is. On with the show. What is temperance? Temperance in the context of Stoicism is moderation. Moderation in life, work, all the areas you find yourself in as you move through the days, months, years. Too much of a good thing can still be bad for you. Drink in moderation, drink responsibly. These phrases are common and have been around for quite a while, but they are all examples of temperance, or at least serve as reminders for it. Moderation is not just about alcohol, drugs, or other substances that have the potential to alter your state of mind or body. It can be in reference to food, sex, thought patterns, behaviors, snap judgments, or triggers for anger and anxiety. I could go on, but it would take up the whole show, and we don't need that. You get the point, though, right? Right. So anyway, moderation is an ideal. You'll find a lot of ideals in Stoicism. They aren't commandments. They aren't black and white. They're practices, thoughts, or actions to move forward and do better over time, to grow. We could all use more growth in our lives. The dichotomy of control, it is a common theme here too. Everything is interconnected with Stoicism. We are discussing the virtues in pieces, but all of them come into play at some point or in any combination in a situation. But we will dive into them individually in sections first and combine them later. You will still hear pieces of the other virtues when I talk about each one, as I'm sure you've already noticed. Temperance among consumption. The title of the episode, it sounds self-explanatory, but let's examine it a little, shall we? Our world is a world of consumption. Food, media, sex, drink, all manner of things that can be consumed. Temperance comes into play here when we are examining a consumption we are engaging in. Are we consuming without a care? Are we eating more than what is needed? Are we watching videos endlessly that aren't adding something to our knowledge or self-discovery? Don't get me wrong. I am absolutely guilty of overeating or doom scrolling even as a practicing Stoic. I struggle with these like anyone. But that's why it's called practice. It takes time to change your thinking. When I look back at the man I used to be, I have come to leaps and bounds from then to now. I often reflect on this in my journal. It helps me keep perspective. I encourage you to journal if you can. It can be digital notebook like I use, a physical journal for that purpose, or even a cheap notebook from the dollar store. It doesn't have to be fancy. Start simple. Anyway, little off topic. Moderation among consumption. Right. We consume on a daily basis, but tempering our consumption is key. Moderate your consumption of social media for starters. Have you learned anything new and valuable? Keyword and. Sure, you may have learned some random fact you didn't know before, but was it valuable to you? I'm not saying you have to only consume media that furthers your knowledge and nothing else, not saying that. But moderate your doom scrolling, media consumption of memes and TikToks for entertainment, and seek knowledge too. There are great book recommendations, music discovery, new hobbies or skills available on social media from creators as well. I've learned of many new books on my read list, as well as music that brings me joy, even creators in the podcasting industry that have had great advice that has helped me polish my workflows for the show. It was all thanks to social media. Social media doesn't have to be this negative thing all the time. There are nuggets of gold in the rubble of misinformation, political garbage, and shit-talking. You just have to find them. Social media can still be a part of your life, even if you're looking at practicing philosophy, whether it be Stoicism or other school of thought. Just because the ancient philosophers wore robes, lived without technology or modern medicine, doesn't mean we have to give up the advancements our society has made and still seek the guidance of their lessons. They just need to be viewed through a modern lens. How can we practice temperance as queers? To put it in perspective for the average queer life, temperance can come in the form of not pushing ourselves too far outside our comfort zone in our journey. For example, if you're one of our baby queers, meaning you are just coming out of your shell for the first time, start small. This community is vast and wide. It can be overwhelming. Moderate your exposure to it. Take it slow. We'll still be here, I promise. We've always been here. Another form of moderation would be the triggers we run into every day. I don't want to single anyone out, so I'll use myself as an example. I still get misgendered in public sometimes. It used to trigger my anxiety and dysphoria, but then I stopped, tempered myself, and realized I was being misgendered when I was presenting as a woman, too. People are stupid, and you can't fix stupid. So take it in stride. Cisgendered people get misgendered all the time. It may bother them to a degree, but be confident in yourself and know that these people don't know you personally. It is not a personal attack. It doesn't have to disturb you. Moderate your trigger events. Take a step back. Take a deep breath, and don't jump at the first thought in your head if it is a powerful negative. Practice moderation of thought and take control. There's that word again, control. The only thing within your control is you. Don't allow outside people to burst your bubble. Be loudly, proudly queer. Another form of moderation in the queer life is dysphoria. This is more commonly seen as a transgender experience, admittedly, but I want to make sure all queer people can learn something about moderating thought patterns as well. I'll use dysphoria as an example. For those that don't know, dysphoria, as defined by psychiatry, is a state of unease or general dissatisfaction with life. Gender dysphoria is a separate definition, which is the psychological distress from the incongruence or disconnection between the sex assigned at birth and desired attributes of the gender a trans person identifies as. Any queer can experience dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is a trans person experience, but general dysphoria can come in the form of not having the style we seek for ourselves to present to the world who we are as queer people. The physical attributes, like muscle definition, density, or our weight is in general. You can still be dysphoric about these things without being trans. In the sense of moderation and tempering our thought patterns when it comes to dysphoria, regardless of the type, when we have dysphoric moment, it is important to once again take a step back, take a deep breath, and examine the triggering event. You can use a grounding exercise my partner has used for me, which I will share. It is actually quite popular, apparently, and used often in psychiatry. Name 5 things you can see. Name 4 things you can hear. Name 3 things you can touch. Name 2 things you can smell. Name 1 thing you can taste. The order of the senses used may vary depending on the source of the exercise or whichever order you feel is the most grounding. I have had panic attacks, and this exercise, coupled with lying on a cold tile floor, has helped bring me out of them so I can better examine the trigger event or events that led to the attack. Sometimes I can't avoid triggers. It's part of that common theme of what is in our control. We can't control events outside ourselves that may trigger us, but we can control our reaction to it, be it grounding, redirection, or powering through, whichever works for you within your comfort, and, you got it, control. We can't change what has happened in the past, only what we do now and in the future to grow. Tying this back into temperance among consumption in the queer life is the consumption of the media that we have, of the state of political garbage that's going on. Being informed is important. Absolutely. You should be informed. Always be informed. But if it's to the point where you are over-consuming the information and it's disturbing you and it's causing powerful negative emotions and enhancing your fear rather than informing you of the state of the world, moderation would be a good idea. Moderate, temper the consumption that you're having. Consume the information, but then reflect upon it. Don't consume endlessly and doom scroll. I've been guilty of this as well, honestly. It's a scary world right now for us, and will continue to be a scary world for probably some time. But we're still moving forward. That's the important part. But we need to moderate the consumption that we have that's going on to keep ourselves from falling into a rabbit hole of distress and depression. Temper your consumption of the political garbage that is going on right now. Stay informed, but take it in pieces is my best advice, is to take it in pieces. Make sure you're not overdoing it. Take in the information, examine it, reflect upon it, and then move on to the next piece. That's right, it's time. Another journal prompt for the week. Take a few minutes to reflect on your previous self. Picture it in your mind. Jot down a few things that have improved over time since your past self, be it thought patterns, physical attributes, mental state, or physical health. Anything at all. Examine the improvements and reflect on how you wish to improve further in the future. I will make sure to link this journal prompt in the show notes as well, so that you can take advantage of it without having to listen to the entire episode all over again, although I would enjoy that. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to drop me a follow at the socials in the show notes for daily meditations, or reach out. I check my messages and emails daily. Hit that donation link in the description if you are able, so I can keep making content and feed my slightly concerning caffeine addiction. Tune in next week for a dive into courage. Bye.